What is up, guys? This is Ludi Death Switch here, and oh my god, I'm so pumped for Resident Evil 2 Remake. We finally got the trailer at E3, we got the gameplay trailer and demo, oh my god! But anyways, I am so fucking excited for this game. 3 years ago, since it was announced, it's been silent for it was been silent for 3 years, and most people got very skeptical about this game happening. But it's finally here, and I just want to give my thoughts and ideas for what I want in the Resident Evil 2 Remake. I am sure that most of my requests is not going to be in the actual release of the game, but if some of them appear, that that's good enough. I have faith in Capcom right now, so let's just get into it. One of the things that I would love in the Resident Evil 2 Remake are additional characters. The original games, like from 1 through 4, kind of lacked development of characters that you had to interact with. In the RE1 remake, you were able to interact with a lot more characters, but most of them, died. So really, I mean, it's not really much of a spoiler there, but it really lacked, it really kind of made it difficult to build any sort of chemistry through the character you're playing as, and it's just something that I would like change for the RE2 remake. And I'm not saying that you should roam around with a partner like Chris and Sheva or the other guys in Resident Evil 6. I'm not going to say all of them, but it would be really nice if you just at least encounter with some, like you do in Resident Evil 2 Remake. You encounter with Claire, you encounter with Ada Wong, and you encounter with, oh shit, I forgot the officer's name. But it would be really nice if you actually encounter with more characters, and there's actually a lot more on that topic that I'll get to later. But additional characters would be fantastic for Resident Evil 2 Remake to just kind of extend the gameplay a bit. So another thing I would really love for the Resident Evil 2 Remake to have is more monsters. The Capcom has not been very optimal with their monsters ever since Resident Evil 4. They've kind of appeared, over and over and over from the original games. Like, the designs were fantastic in 4, and you don't really encounter with most of them, or actually really with any of them in the rest of the franchise ever since 4. You've been kind of just getting the same monsters from 1 through 3. So if they can bring back more, different monsters, like have a proposition for monsters in Resident Evil 2 Remake, they can, do bring back the original monsters from 1998 Resident Evil, but have an idea for, different kinds, like have something that could outmatch the alligator. And yeah, the alligator would not be fighting it, you would be fighting it, but bring us something that is, that is worthy talking about. Bring us something that would be known for this game. Like, the alligator was known for the Resident Evil 1998, and a lot of people requested that. It has been, official that this alligator is going to come back. That's fantastic. But if they can bring something that can, top that alligator, that would be, awesome. Or, same level, maybe lower, second level to the alligator. But if it's, if it's the same, if it's like the same sort of idea, we can get like the giant alligator, very something similar. Or just be something, like, be super creative, be like, a big ass bug, or like a big ass dog, or something like that. Like, give us something that will have us talk about a decade from there. So if they add more monsters, just have a proposition for monsters, that would be fantastic. Another thing that I've actually had pet peeves about for Resident Evil franchise, these are the movies included, and this is just my opinion, and I don't like how lighthearted the Resident Evil games and movies are. I've noticed how characters sort of censor themselves, and what I mean by that is that I don't believe that line of profanity is Capcom's cup of tea. I've noticed that in the moments where a character's about to face a boss or so, they say something kind of cheesy lighthearted, and it's like, or like they censor themselves. Like they don't really say the curse, they don't really say the curse words that you expect them to say. Something that you like, what would you say if you were in that situation? And I'm not saying that, the cursing is something we need, because that's yeah, it's kind of immature. Like don't be Will Smith's Bright in Netflix. Like if you've seen that movie, holy shit, it's so noticeable. It's just complete, like it's very distracting for how much they curse in that. And I'm just I'm going off topic, but it's pretty related to what I'm what point I'm trying to make. It's the like, I want them to just kind of say exactly what they're thinking, because every time that they say a joke, or say, if they say a family-friendly curse word, it kind of takes me out of the moment. It's unrelatable, outputting, and it's just, it doesn't fit with the situation that they're in. It just makes me feel that I'm watching a Fox channel. Watching those rated R films that you love, and there's always those scenes where people are like bursting out profanity, and Fox channel kind of replaces those with family friendly, and it's just kind of, it's embarrassing enough just to watch that. So if they could just be more profane in Resident Evil 2 Remake, I would kind of appreciate that. If they don't, you know what? That's fine with me. That's actually, that's completely fine with me. But it would be a bonus for me if they do curse a lot often. Like Resident Evil 7 is probably the #1 Resident Evil game that used a lot of swearing. Coming from, I think it only came from like the character you're playing as. But I totally relate to the situation he was in, and I want to feel, what Leon is feeling when he's in a really shitty situation. I don't want him to say, "God damn it, Jesus Christ," or "son of a bitch." I want him to say, "fuck, pussy, shit," or "cunt," or whatever, something like that. And I know some of those words I said are just fucking mean, just calling anybody that. But like, it's if they just be more profane with Resident Evil 2 Remake, that would be, a lot more realistic, more appreciative, and more relatable. And I'm pretty sure that other people who plays this game would appreciate that as well. So, if they could just mitigate the lighthearted moments in the Resident Evil 2 Remake, that would be fantastic. But another thing that I would really love change in the Resident Evil 2 Remake, not change, but just kind of stick with the original and add more, are stronger puzzles. And the puzzles in the Resident Evil franchise have gone progressively easier since Resident Evil 4. Ever since Resident Evil 4, the puzzles have gotten a lot easier. They take in 2 seconds to figure out, and they take a second just to execute. And so I would really love to challenge that makes me feel so good about myself, just something as simple as opening a door. Because when I was playing the original games, there are times, and I'm pretty sure that one of my videos are posted on is on YouTube, is just me staring at the screen trying to figure out what to do. I try my best not to go on YouTube. I do sometimes go look at step 1 on YouTube, like, okay, let's see step 1, what this guy did. Okay, I'm gonna stop from there. I'm gonna figure out what I'm gonna do. And there are times that I actually do cheat and watch the entire footage, because I just completely give up. I'm not really that smart with puzzle solvings. Like, I don't think I've ever solved a Rubik's Cube, like, ever. So, probably the best, like, reflexes is probably what I'm better at. I was good at Bop It, but we could probably talk about that in another video. But if they can do more puzzle solvings, like, I want them to bring back, something as complicated as codes for a door. Like, what I really loved in the Resident Evil 1 is, like, I remember this one moment this one room you were in, and there was this pool table. It had 3 pool balls that you were looking at, and it gives you an idea exactly, like, those codes they're obviously meant for something, because the game is giving you an option to look at these numbers. And then you reach to a door, probably like, 5, like 3 levels away, and you get to enter those codes. So, like, it's not 3 levels away. It's kind of like a few doors, like a few doors down through the hallway. But you don't really get the keys to that room till, like, you know, probably 10 to 20 minutes later, depending on if you know exactly what to do. But I would really love for them to kind of go back to those roots of strong puzzle solvings, of just sort of fuck with your head. And I hope, you know, in this time I would try my best not try to figure something out. But the puzzles has always been Resident Evil's strongest, you know, the strongest point in the originals, and that's something they've been, you know, it's been kind of lackluster since 4. So if they can bring stronger puzzle solvings, that would be fantastic, and I'm sure that most fans of the franchise would appreciate that. And another thing that I would really love for Resident Evil 2 to have, and I will be completely honest with you, I've not played the original, like, 1998 version of Resident Evil. I didn't have a PlayStation at the time. I watched my brother play bits and pieces of it. I just recently, a few days ago, watched the entire 5 hours, both campaigns together in HD on YouTube, to just kind of, you know, watch the walkthrough of Resident Evil 2, and then when I'm playing the RE2 remake, I can get the idea of exactly what they've changed or what they extended. So another thing that, like, one thing I've noticed about Resident Evil 2, and this really bugged me a bit, and I'm pretty sure that some people were bothered by this too, but I was surprised that no one acknowledged this, is the lack of the city streets. I felt that Raccoon City was not utilized very well. They did mention Raccoon City a bunch of times in the other games, and I was like, you know, but when you're playing the actual game that takes place in Raccoon City, you don't wander around the streets as often as at least I expected before I watched the footage of Resident Evil 2 1998. So the idea of zombies on this roaming around the streets was not, you know, it was kind of wasteful for most of the game to take place in the building. But this was, you know, I don't know nothing about gaming. I don't. So they probably had some ideas of what they want to do with the streets, but maybe it's because of the, you know, the engine, or maybe because of the room, the amount of memory that they couldn't carry for Resident Evil 2. So I would completely understand that, but I don't think Capcom, like, I hope this went through Capcom's mind the last 3 years that they've been playing this game, or before the time they started developing, that they should make this a free roaming game. I want Resident Evil 2 Remake to be the Evil Within 2, and if those for you who has played the Evil Within 2, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. The first one didn't do this, but the Evil Within was a free roaming area. It's not an open world, but it's a free roaming area where you can kind of roam around the streets and pick up parts of weapons, do side missions, and, you know, pick up coins, pick up health, and kill monsters or zombies along the way. And so that is what I really love about the Evil Within 2. Silent Hill Downpour also did that. They have you do little side missions, like kind of solve puzzles. And if you wanted to go to, like, continue the storyline, go to this building. And that's what I really loved about Silent Hill Downpour. The Evil Within 2 has, you know, did the same thing. And what I really want for Resident Evil 2 Remake to have, if this was an open world game, is that I want it to be like Dead Rising, like I'm gonna compare this to a lot of games. Like, I want this to be, like, especially, like, similar to Dead Rising. If you, like, Dead Rising was probably one of my favorite zombie games ever. It can be frustrating, like, it was a very frustrating game because, like, last time I checked, there was no saving progress, and so when you die, you die. Like, it's, or, like, well, there is a save in progress, but there's no autosave. But really, what I really loved about the Dead Rising games is that you can go inside these rooms and, like, help other people, like help citizens of this town, and that's what I really love for Resident Evil, like Resident Evil 2, to have, is to have you roam around the streets and help these citizens like get to these, get to the safe places. Like, let's say there's an ambulance and their car just shuts down or breaks down, and they have a patient with them and they need to roll him to the hospital. So, and like, you're the only one with a gun. So let's say like if you cover them, and then they, cover them and kill as much zombies as humanly possible, and they are able to, like, they finally get the patient to the hospital in the rolling bed, and you complete the mission from there, and you get some points or clothing or something, or like any bonuses. Or you can go inside this building, go on the rooftop, and help all these people clear these streets out, get these zombies away from the building, clear the area, complete the mission from there. So it would be really nice. Like, I'm not saying like go all the way to the Dead Rising route, because the difference on Dead Rising is that half the missions that you were playing is to like defeat psychos, really, and I don't think it really, it would really make much sense of why there's psychos all of a sudden in Raccoon City, because the zombies are just attacking them. Like, it's not like this place has gone to shit like, weeks ago or months ago or so. So it's, if they do very similar things like the Evil Within 2, Dead Rising 2, or no, it's not Dead Rising, the Evil Within 2, Dead Rising, or Silent Hill Downpour, that would be fantastic. Also, another thing that would be really cool, if you can go inside a store, like a place that's very similar to GameStop, you can go in this arcade room and play, like, and there's like these 30 arcade games that you can play, these mini arcade, arcade machines. And so or you can go in the kitchen where this pizza was in the middle of making before everyone died, and you can eat, like, that slice of that cheese and pepperoni that will boost your health up a bit. Or, drink, or you can go into a bar, take a shot of alcohol. It kind of reduces damage to your health, because, when you're drinking enough alcohol, which is exactly what I'm doing right now, you wouldn't really feel much pain if you get, like, if you get pinched or something like that. Now, everyone's body works differently, but I'm just saying that if you can do something like that, if you pull a GTA 4 or 5, that would have been great. If you could just like take some shots, just reduce but you can't drink too much, because then you lose accuracy with your shootings. So if they could do very like similar things like that, this would probably be my favorite Resident Evil game of all time. If you're able to do all of those things and turn this into an open world Resident Evil. Resident Evil 7 was probably the first Resident Evil game that turned into a free roaming title. Like, it wasn't an open world, but it was an open area. You like have access to these maps, or you can like, the maps slowly extend, but you can still go back. So if Resident Evil remake, Resident Evil 2 remake would be awesome if you could turn this into a free roaming game. And if you want to continue the story, you go to these missions, like go to these buildings to continue the story mission. So yeah, that actually would be great. So speaking of like open area, if they could keep the original maps from the original 1980 version of Resident Evil, but supplement them, like, that would be fantastic. Like, just extend the maps a little more, like, give more, like, have you interact, like, with furnishings, or, tools, or just make the area feel real and free. Like, make it feel that you, like there could be, or there actually could be something behind this furniture, like like a shirt, or a like an armor, or a special weapon, special coins, or something like that, or special codes. Like, I don't know, I don't think they're ever gonna like make special codes anytime soon, like as a hidden object. But if you can do, like, if you can just supplement the maps in Resident Evil 2 Remake, which I'm pretty sure they did, in Resident Evil 1, and they can do that for 2, that would be great. And I'm actually positive that they extended the maps a little bit more for Resident Evil 2 Remake, to just kind of give you, the opportunity to explore police station. Now they've got the engine and the technology to make this game bigger, and hopefully this has crossed Capcom's minds. Like, you know, we got all of this technology, we are capable of doing this. Let's make the best Resident Evil game ever, like best Resident Evil experience ever. That would be fantastic. Just supplement the maps a little bit more, kind of like Silent Hill Downpour. We can kind of go in these buildings, drag down a ladder, climb up to an apartment, and solve these small puzzles, and like get these special weapons. And you know, Resident Evil 2 could also do the same thing, another way to like introduce monsters, or like, you know, make, you know, zombies could just become more vicious at a oh my god, you know, actually, you know, it would be really cool if they could just kind of like the longer you stay outside, then the stronger, like the more vicious the zombies get. Like, you hear this bell, and that means that you have to get the fuck indoors, because that's what they kind of did with Silent Hill Downpour, is that you actually had to go indoors to like, you couldn't stay outside too long, or else it was going to rain really hard, and all these demons would start attacking you. And even the character acknowledged, like, oh god, not again, because he knew hard rain means danger. So if they could do something like that, like make the like have a huge, because there's a clock tower in Resident Evil 2. So if they could utilize that clock tower by making the bell ring a bunch of times, then that would be fucking awesome. If they let you know, it's like, hey, you know, it's gonna get really dangerous out here. You should probably go into the nearest building. And another thing I wanted to you know, I wanted in the Resident Evil 2, and I've noticed that, you know, actually, no, not so. These things has always mattered to me in movies and video games, and that's the soundtrack. So I'm hoping that they will keep the composer for Resident Evil 2 remake trailer. The trailer was very cringeworthy, and it was very, very creepy, and it was epic in a horror way. Like it still sounded like it was a very like horror genre-ish, but it was still epic. So I would hope they would keep that person, but hopefully that composer will has the capability of composing dramatic moments, like making dramatic scores. Like, kind of like the Evil Within 2, everything starts off creepy, but the further you go, it gives you the sense of finality in the game, it helps you, you know, realize that this game is coming to an end, like this game is almost over for you. So we're gonna make these moments like a lot dramatic, and it gives you an idea that, you know, you have a few levels left, everything's gonna shit is gonna go down. That's when it's gonna happen. Shit's about to go down. So, like, if they can like make it very similar to the Evil Within 2, that would be like fantastic. I love the score. Like, I mean, I would love the score in the Evil Within 2, but I'm not really I'm not a big fan of the score in the Resident Evil franchise. Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 5, and Resident Evil Revelations 2 are the 3 titles with like the best score, in my opinion, because they don't sound very cartoony. They sound very serious, and they sound you know, they're a bit more dramatic, and I know that Resident Evil will have its lighthearted moments, but what I really love about the 3 titles soundtrack is how relatable the situation was with the score that they were using. There are times, like in the beginning, it's always relatable. Like, it always makes sense for what for the soundtrack and the situation you're in. But the further you go into the game, the less sense the soundtrack really makes, because like Resident Evil 5, for an example, it starts off really well, but then it sounds very anime-ish and cartoony, and it just doesn't fit. It feels a bit off-putting, and it's like, I kind of wish that in Resident Evil 2 that the score would be a lot more serious. The score will be like as if this is the final Resident Evil game like ever. And I'm not saying it should be the final Resident Evil game, but in speaking of that topic, I will get to that in a few. So, persistent damaging is another thing I would really like, and I've noticed that a lot of games today have done persistent damage. Silent Hill Downpour has done a very good job with persistent damage. Like, your character really looks like crap when he's been butchered by a bunch of monsters. Not butchered, but like he's just been attacked by a bunch of monsters, and like another game that has done a very good job of that is I'm stuttering. Grand Theft Auto 5. Grand Theft Auto 4 has done the same thing, but 5 has done some improvements on persistent damaging. And I have noticed that in the RE2 remake demo that there is a persistent damage for Leon Kennedy, that there's a bite mark on his neck because he was bitten by a zombie after he tried to save a guy before he was ripped in half. But if they can keep the same damage, like if they actually, it'd be really funny if they actually, funny and cool, if they actually kept those persistent damages till the end of the game. Like even if he heals himself, he still has those marks. So by the end of the game, it shows you exactly how much damage he has taken, and they would like acknowledge that, like he's missing a finger, he's missing an eye, or so. But that would actually, if that's true, that would kind of affect the rest of the franchise. And well, like I said, I'm actually gonna get to that point in a little bit, but if they can do persistent damaging for Resident Evil 2, like if they can keep that up, hopefully the demo's not false, that would be really awesome. So the number one thing that I really love for Resident Evil 2 Remake to have is I want it to be a very compelling gameplay. I want it to be the story to be very compelling for me. Like I want this game to be as if it's Capcom's last, because the thing that Capcom had they have this obsession with setting up another Resident Evil game from another title, not a sequel necessarily. It's a like a setup for another threat in another Resident Evil game, if that makes any sense. And that's what I always hated about these Resident Evil games and Resident Evil movies. And I don't hate these games total, but I always didn't appreciate the endings. And I'm not saying the endings are good, I'm just saying how repetitive they can be, because most of the time they end with a helicopter, exiting in a helicopter, very Resident Evil cliche, and they always end where a villain survives. So I would really love for Resident Evil 2 Remake to, because Capcom said that this is a reimagining title. Like, this is a reimagining. This is not just a remake, this is a reimagining. So, not only are they remaking everything that they done in the original game, is that they're reimagining how it would go in, how it would go in their heads. So, if they can kind of reboot the idea for the franchise, like if they're planning on remaking the other games, what I really want them to do is kind of surprise us with the ending. Like give us an ending that's so compelling, like it's so noteworthy, and it's like incredibly dramatic. Like I want this game to be as if it's a finality of a franchise. Like surprise us in a way that if they are in a way of planning to make a franchise, like rebooting a franchise, they should definitely do that with Resident Evil 2. And what I want them to do is kind of end it in a way, just end with Raccoon City, like as if they just lost Raccoon City. Like end in a way that makes us wonder if there's going to be any more reboots, or if there's going to be a continuing franchise after 7, because 8 has not been talked about that much. This is just 8 has mostly been talked about of what people want. So give us that sense of finality for the Resident Evil 2 remake. And what I really want in that sense of finality, and I'm pretty sure that most fans of the franchise would hate me for doing this, but this is this is what I want in the Resident Evil games. And hopefully, Resident Evil 2 has not been out yet, and hopefully that they changed the way they end their Resident Evil games, is kill characters. And that's what I really want. Like, I really want Capcom to kill off a character, and I want them to kill a character who's originally in the other ones, like in the rest of the franchise, but they died in 2, so they won't appear in the the rest of the. But it kind of reboots the writing for the rest of the franchise, and so I want them to either kill Leon Kennedy or Claire Redfield. Like, I am aware that most of the people who watch this video are going to hate me for saying this, but this is just what I want, because I'm really tired of playing a Resident Evil game and it's always ending in a way like Resident Evil 6, for an example. If you guys, oh my god, I hate the ending of Resident Evil 6 because they always make it look like yeah, they say, oh, this is not the end. Like, there's gonna be a huge war with this, with these, I actually didn't pay attention. Like, Resident Evil 6 was pretty forgettable for me, but I didn't pay attention to who the main threat was. I don't think it was Umbrella at all, but they definitely, like, give it an ending where it's like the sense of setup for another threat or another game. For, like, Resident Evil 7 or Resident Evil 8, and obviously 7 is not a sequel, it didn't live up to, where 6 left off. It was more of a reboot of a concept of going back to the horror roots, but, that's a problem I had with Resident Evil 6 the most, is because it set it up in a way that we expect this huge epic war, Michael Bay-ish Resident Evil, like Resident Evil 7 or Resident Evil 8 to happen. And if you're not going to do that, then there's no point of ending it like that. Just end it as if you're not going to make another one. Like, be Christopher Nolan, okay? I'm just going to say, be Christopher Nolan. Because Christopher Nolan didn't even, plan to make any other games, or, sorry, not games, movies, like Batman movies, and he says, hey, guess what, I'm not going to make a sequel to Batman Begins. Guess what, he did, and he made the best Batman movie ever, that felt like, there shouldn't be there's no need for a sequel. And he said the same thing about The Dark Knight Rises, and he actually did make The Dark Knight Rises, and it was originally supposed to turn into a franchise, and he ended it in a way that felt like there's a huge finality behind it. So, he knows how to come up with a solution to, a canceled franchise, and I'm just going based off of what I heard from other people who said he was making a franchise. But, back to Resident Evil. So, in Resident Evil 2 Remake, please make the story, very compelling. Please give us a very, very good ending, because I know most developers, this is not just Capcom, this is to most developers, is that they never make a good ending. Not never, is that good endings is just not their strongest, and I don't know why it's so hard to make a good ending. It's almost as if they get everything down so right, they work their asses off in developing this game, and then right when they get to the ending, they're in a rush to release it. So it's you know what, fuck it, we'll just say that they all die. Let's just do that. Or they join the Force. They join the Dark Force. Let's just do that. Because gameplay matters, not the story. Well, gameplay does matter, but story also matters. So, guys, take Hideo Kojima's lesson. Take a lesson from Hideo Kojima's. Take a lesson from Hideo Kojima's. But, anyway, oh god, dude, can you imagine if Hideo Kojima actually directed Resident Evil? If he did Resident Evil 2 Remake himself, oh my god. I'm just gonna leave it from there. If you guys haven't seen Hideo Kojima's, footage, of gameplay, if you guys haven't played his game himself, look it up, and you'll see, you have to watch enough to really know what his style in directing is, because it's some very weird shit. Right now, Death Stranding is, he's developing that right now, and there's 4 trailers so far of Death Stranding, and people still don't know exactly what this game is. Gives you an idea of how the game will play out. but there's no idea of what the story is or what the threat is or what the like exactly what you need to do most of the story. So but he's a fucking genius. I'm gonna just give him that. So like, so back to Resident Evil, like if they're able to pull this, you know, pull this game off as like, if people find Resident Evil 2 original to be the best Resident Evil game ever, then Capcom should really, like, you know, have, you know, they should make this game as if it's their last. Like, make this game as if they're, like, on their third strike. Like, I want them to make the best Resident Evil game ever. Like, I want to, like, if they manage to keep the original concept of Resident Evil 2, keep all the maps, characters, monsters, roleplay, and then extended it by, like, 12 hours... This without a doubt be the best Resident Evil game ever if they find Resident Evil 2 the best game ever. Because, like, really, if you like the original game and they did the same thing to 2 and you like the way they did it and they added more to it that you like, then how can you not see that as a bet? Like, how can you not agree with me that would be, like, the best Resident Evil game ever? I'm just saying, I'm just being fair, you know, fair and realistic about the situation. So those are my thoughts and ideas for what I want in Resident Evil 2. I'm curious, you know, I would like to know what you guys want in Resident Evil 2. Like, what's your ideas for Resident Evil 2? Leave it down in the comments below, and I do appreciate you watching this video, and I will see you every time I see you. Come together.